Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday. It's 1:22. And you know what happens at 1 o'clock every Friday? It's the Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM-1220 KHTS. And with us now, we have none other than our national correspondent, Mr. Robert Patrick Lewis, who's a contributing writer to the Gazette most weeks and an author on his own for a new book that's out. John, I heard you read the book.
In like...
I'm not going to read it until it's in
15
print.
hours. In like 15 hours. Robert, great book.
Hey, thank you.
When does the next one come out?
It should be out. So it's almost finished. The second one's almost finished. Our biggest bottleneck is going to be my publisher because he wants me to put a nice window between them. But the whole, it's done. Like the whole series is done. I just got to connect the dots and finish the minutiae. But he wants to tier it, and we got somebody that's shopping it around for movie rights. So
wow! I told you.
Yeah,
It's incredibly. What did I say? I think I said it. I called it too realistic.
Well, and that's
for worker fiction.
I sent Doug a URL this week, or no, for the article that I wrote, or maybe it was last week. But I sent him a little thing saying, "Man, every once in a while, I wish I could just drink the Kool-Aid and forget that I know all this stuff."
Right?
Yeah. You know? It's scary all day, every day. I'm a little scared because I kind of know how this stuff works.
So, Robert, this morning, one of my favorite guys, Glenn Beck, his radio show this morning was dedicated on what he thinks is an upcoming World War III. And he laid it out pretty succinctly, starting with Russia, and they're wanting to rebuild the Soviet Union. Then he went over to the Middle East with ISIS and Iran and what could conceivably happen with them and Israel. And he's pretty convinced. Now, he's a little bit on the wacko side, I admit that, but he's pretty convinced World War III is just around the corner. What do you think?
Yeah, and that's kind of the reason I wrote this book, because it's fiction, but it's based in the reality of all the stuff that I know. And more importantly, it's taking the knowledge that I have and what I know, what I sat in, TS level briefings for when I was in Special Forces, and understanding of kind of what's going on in the globe, and seeing these chess pieces being moved around the world, and it really does scare me. And when I started writing this 2 years ago and showing it to people, they were calling me crazy. But now with all this stuff that's actually going on, they're saying, "Oh my God, wow!"
Yeah. Yes, I would agree. But okay, don't you think at some point in time? God, I can't believe I'm saying this. Never mind. I was going to say, don't you think at some point in time cooler heads prevail? But then I just realized who I was talking about. Never mind.
Well, that's the thing. Sometimes you would really wish they would, but unfortunately, it's against human nature.
And I don't see a lot of cooler heads on the horizon. That's a problem too.
Yeah, it is, and it's everything's in politics, and unfortunately, different nations and different cultures have different forms of politics, and we seem to forget that. And so we do some things just based on the way our culture works that go 100% against another type of culture, and it's a big offense to them, where it's just normal politics for us.
Well, and also if you think about it from a historical standpoint, last time there was some saber rattling from the non-superpowers, for lack of a better term. It was pretty easy for us to stand up and go, "No, stop it, or we're going to come kick you in the teeth." All right, now it's like
better without dinner.
Yeah, it's like
laugh at us.
Yeah, now it's like, "No, stop it, please. Do you want to come by for a summit?"
Right.
Yeah,
well, and that's where you got to politics and geopolitics. You really have to play that fine line between, do I want them to love me or do I want them to fear me? Which one do I want? And unfortunately, when you do the fear me, when you actually go and you smack people around for stepping out of line, half the world gets mad at you and says, "I can't believe you're these warmongers that are stepping out." And then when you go, "Okay, well then I want them to love and respect me," and you play nice and you just use words and you use political rhetoric and bargaining, then the other half of the world, namely the Middle East, sees that as weakness and goes, "Oh, well now we can go and punch America in the face because they're not going to fight back."
Right.
We're talking to Robert Patrick Lewis, former Green Beret and author. Robert, do you think a key part of the presidential campaign that's going to be coming up is going to be global security or global whatever you want to call it? And will the American people gravitate towards the candidate that shows the most aggressiveness, or do you think they'll want to go to the peacenik type?
Well, in politics, you got to follow the money, right? So the defense contracting companies, I know because I've worked for them before, they got a lot of money, they own a lot of lobbyists, and so they own a lot of politicians.
Exactly.
So, of course, that's going to be a big, whether it's actually on the platform for the next campaign, it's going to be a big part of politics in our foreseeable future because, they're going to want a lot of money going back in their pockets for all the money they spent on politicians. So it's going to be a part of it, whether they speak about it or not. But again, we're in this weird kind of phase where a lot of Americans are kind of sick of war. You know, we get into that kind of lackadaisical, man, this thing's been going on for so long. But the rest of the world, they're not. The rest of the world is getting pretty antsy, you know? So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things where Americans might be so sick of war that, you know, the politicians' PR people say stay away from that subject. But while our politicians are actually doing that, the rest of the world is kind of gearing up to, you know, hit us while we're not looking.
It's also easy for us to be xenophobic. I mean, hey, take care of us first. You know,
Right.
hey, let's
You know,
our borders, our tax money. What's in it for me? I don't want to fight over there yet. It doesn't matter to me yet.
well, that's, you know, if you look at Ron Paul, so I'm a very conservative, and I verge on the edge of libertarian and Republican. I'm not, you know, I mix and match depending on what issue we're talking about.
Right.
But that's one of the things. Some people say, you know, we should take care of America first. We need to consider our own borders. We need to take care of our own homeless population, especially our vets, before we start focusing on other things. But unfortunately, when you're talking about the aspect of security, you have to go global. So when I was a Green Beret, in my first book, Love Me When I'm Gone, I talked about my time in Africa. I'm currently getting a lot of offers to go back to Africa from various organizations. It's not that we're there because we're purely on a humanitarian thing. Sure, I went there with millions of dollars of medical supplies.
Right.
Sure, I took a bunch of doctors. But at the end of the day, there are places in the world where people that have nefarious purposes, they want to start training camps, they want to do a lot of bad things, they go to these places where they can get off the grid.
Yeah.
And so we need to go to those places, and we need to put them back on the grid. We need to be there to gain human intelligence. We need to be on the ground. We need to be meeting people. We need people to see us, soldiers with an American flag on our shoulder, doing good things. So the next time a terrorist comes into their mosque and says Americans are evil, they're going to say, no, they're not. They saved my kid last week.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. It all sets a precedent. But
Yeah, and it's tough because on the one hand, we're trillions of dollars in debt. Why are we spending millions of dollars every day in Africa? But on the other hand, it's a necessity. If you're really talking about security, it's not just a Band-Aid. It's a long-term policy. It's a long-term security policy to actually help these people in the world see us as good people and not just believe the radical clerics speaking in their mosque and saying death to America.
all right. Hey, Robert, can you hold on until after the break? I got another question for you.
Yeah, of course. I'm right
All
here.
right. All right. You're talking to Robert Patrick Lewis, celebrated author, all-around good guy, and still likes Doug for some reason.
Yeah,
on the
baby.
Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John on AM-1220 KHTS, Santa Clarita's hometown station. We'll be right back.
We are here, everybody, on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM-1220 KHTS. It's the Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John. It's the Radio Digest version, the Santa Clarita Gazette and Free Classifieds for all you need to know to be in the know, and our weekly national correspondent, author, contributing writer to the Gazette, former Green Beret, Mr. Robert Patrick Lewis is with us.
It's the drugs. It's got to be the
pain,
drugs.
man.
It's the pain meds. He's popping pills as we sit here like M&Ms. Jeez. All right.
I am not. You're not allowed to do that on the air.
Yeah, that's what they say. All right, so Robert, I read your article in the Gazette. So I should not be investing in my 401k. Is that what you're telling me now? It's all going to get taxed?
Well, you know, that's something that's starting to come out quite a bit. You know, everybody's always kind of gone to the 401k as their means of their only retirement. A lot of people don't really understand how it works. That's another one of the hats that I wear. Besides being an author, I'm also an investment advisor. And it's something that we've known about for a while, and that Obama's trying to change a lot of the way that our retirement works. And so, you know, there's three basic buckets that we put our investments in. There's taxable, tax-deferred, and tax-exempt. The problem is a lot of people in America have always thought of their 401k as a tax-free retirement because, you know, it's actually tax-deferred. So money isn't taken out as I'm investing. They forget, and they don't factor this into their retirement, that as I pull money out in my retirement, that's taxed as normal income.
Right.
So it is going to be taxed.
Even after retirement age.
Yeah, even after retirement age. And there's another part of this that the majority of my clients have no idea about. There's a thing called the 70.5 rule. If you're in a tax-deferred account, a 401k, an IRA, anything like that, no, you can't pull it out before you're 59.5 or else you pay a penalty.
Right.
On the other side of that, if you don't take the money out by the year that you turn, April 15th, the year that you turn 70.5, the government will tax you a 50% penalty.
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
50% of whatever. So if you did everything right, and I was in San Jose last week with a client. He retired with an awful lot of money, and we set him up with some great accounts. Even if you wait, so if you have $1 million in your account, $500,000 is going to be taken by the government immediately if you don't pull it out by that year that you turn 70.5 by April 15th. A lot of people don't know that.
No, not at all.
On the flip side, There's a traditional IRA, there's a traditional 401k, there's also the Roth 401k and the Roth IRA. What those do is they work differently. Instead of being tax-deferred, they're tax-advantaged, which means I pay my taxes up front, and then I never pay taxes again, right? The government is just concerned they get their taxes at some point. Those Roth plans don't have the 70.5 rule. That's been one of the many great things about the Roth plans. You know, you can't use it if you make a certain amount of money. There's all these other stipulations to it. Obama's been trying to change that. Obama's been trying to change that so that the 70.5 rule goes into play in the Roth plans as well.
Gotcha.
He wants to increase our taxes. He wants to do a lot of things, and you know, one of the big reasons that I'm just so mad at this when I write this article is because, you know, he's the entitlement king, and he's just, again, you fall back, is he stupid or is he a liar, right? And so saying Obamacare is not going to cost anything extra, all these entitlements aren't going to cost anything extra, giving, you know, Social Security benefits to illegal aliens who never paid into Social Security, that's not going to cost anything extra. Oh, yeah, but by the way, I have to raise all these taxes on your investments that you hardworking Americans salt through the earth have spent your entire life saving towards. Sorry, I know that you kind of spent your entire life saving and thinking these were the rules, but, you know, we got all these things that I said weren't going to cost us anything that, well, they're not going to cost anything, but we're going to have to charge you a lot of extra money for. But no, they don't cost you anything.
Well, I'll just wait for Social Security to kick in. I'll be okay.
It's not going to be there. I honestly, as an investment advisor, I tell my clients, if you are older than 45 or 50 right now, Social Security will not exist when it's time for your retirement. You'll pay into it.
If you're younger. If you're younger than 45 years. Yeah.
It's not going to be there.
Yeah. That's comforting.
Yeah, well, it's a shame. You know, it's politics. They've been doing it for a very long time. Whenever they have something that's underfunded and they can't get the budgeting for, you know where they take the money from?
Social Security.
Social Security. It's been the piggy bank for corrupt and just worthless politicians for a long time.
Yeah, of course.
Robert, I need some hope. Everybody needs hope in their life, right? They say when you have no hope that you completely lose your desire to live. Do we have hope that if we get a new president in 2 years, along with the same party in both houses, could some of this stuff change? Could we get back on the right track?
See, and I think that's the fundamental problem where people are going wrong. It's not the party, it's the money. Yeah. Right? Because the lobbyists, honestly, they don't care if you're Republican or Democrat.
Okay, so is there anybody that can stand up to them? Is there anybody that doesn't care about the money?
There are local states that are having local elections, and they're creating new campaign reforms to force the money out of politics. Yeah. If we can get that done at a national level, then that'll be the fix.
See,
otherwise, if we keep things going the way they are, it's never going to fix itself.
Yeah. So I think what's going to happen, and I think looking back even, if you get somebody who has can go into office with a mandate, okay? And I thought the Republican Congress was pretty close, but they're backing off. So
they're wimps.
Congress really doesn't get a mandate. To me, one man gets the mandate. Look back at Reagan, okay? Mandate. Is he going to be able to do what he wants and tell the lobbyists to basically stop to a certain extent? Yeah, okay? But you don't have anybody in the national scene that has that powerful personality that is going to be able to, I mean...
I got one guy, Ted Cruz. He could. No. Yes, he could.
Wow.
Yes.
Rob, help me.
I think he could within his own party, but he's got too many enemies within his own party and on the other side of the aisle. And unfortunately, you can have the greatest person, Superman, could be in Congress next year, and unfortunately, he needs enough people backing him. He can be the most honest, great, trustworthy human in the world, but he's so surrounded by corrupt individuals that he has to get on his
And
side.
you ask most people on the street, hey, who's your congressman? Oh, I don't know. Who's the president? Yeah. They know.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the problem.
An unfortunate thing. Have you ever seen the videos where they go around asking people about Obama's policy?
Oh, yeah.
They have no idea. They're voting for him. They have no idea what
he's doing a great job.
They're voting for him.
Yeah. You can't. It's hard to vote against Santa Claus. That's what I said from the very beginning. I heard Rush Limbaugh say that. I almost laughed myself off the road.
So, Robert, so what you're telling me, we got no hope? I mean,
you got the Dodgers.
Well, and hey, we got the Oscars. Right?
There you go. Hey,
we got entertainment. You've seen that movie Gladiator with Russell Crowe, right? Are you entertained? Are you entertained? And that's what it is, you know. And that's the whole reason I wrote this article. The night of the Oscars, I have a radio show on Sunday nights that I record. I was looking through the news to see if I'd missed anything. 2.5 pages back was this article about Obama raising taxes on investments or retirement investments, and I went 2.5 pages of just BS of who's wearing what, who's dating who, you know, this, all this other stuff, and none of that matters. None of that matters.
And the best
Entertainment
news of all is that while you were scrolling, you were probably doing it at the same speed that everybody else is going to be using because of the net neutrality thing, which we'll be talking about next.
Yeah, oh God. Yeah. So goodbye freedom. Goodbye everything.
All right. So what have we learned? There is no hope.
There is hope, but people need to take action, and they need to understand what the real issues are. And the number one issue, when we founded this country, and again, this plays a very big part of my book, The Pact, right? This country was founded on certain principles, with certain things, with certain meanings in mind. But our founding fathers could not be around forever. They were humans, and they had to die at some point. And at some point, these great people and these great foundations that we tried to build, they got factored out. And we went from these people who would be pillars of their community, who would walk away from their businesses or whatever it was that they did and come into politics to truly serve. And somewhere along the line, those got replaced by career politicians who offer nothing else to the world than being politicians. And when that's your only job, of course you're going to fight tooth and nail to keep your job and get paid more and do everything you possibly can. And so we get to this point where a politician, that's their only real
That's it.
moving forward, is giving themselves another raise. And, of course, they're going to present themselves as the best, as the man of the people, so the people will just blindly vote them in again, no matter how many raises they give them.
Yeah.
And this is this kind of deadly cycle that we're in right now, and we need to get it out. And, unfortunately, they're not going to vote themselves a pay deduction.
No.
So it's up to us. It's up to us to take that power back and force them, get rid of career politicians, get rid of money in politics, get rid of these campaigns that are going into the millions and hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. Stop politicians from having more PR people than actors and musicians.
Exactly.
Robert, unfortunately, we're out of time. We appreciate your time.
I apologize for getting you all wrapped up, all wound up and everything.
That happens to me on a daily basis anyway.
Hey, we'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys, have a great weekend.
All right, thanks, Robert. Robert Patrick Lewis, author, all-around good guy. You're on the Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John on AM-1220 KHTS, Santa Clarita's hometown station.